Hi everyone, thank you for having me here, and it's cool to hear all these talks. So I run a technology education nonprofit. Our mission is to work with underrepresented groups all over the world, and to empower them to learn how to tackle problems in their community using technologies. And 10 years ago it was mobile, and now it's AI. And a very common question I always get from people is, well, shouldn't these communities be focusing on basic literacy skills? Why are you teaching them AI? And I wanted to show this visualization that shows whenever, of course, technology it progresses faster than education, and whenever you do that, there's a lag, and there's some sort of social repercussions. And education systems, school systems take a little bit of time to adjust, begin teaching what the industry needs, and usually they overshoot. And overshooting is actually not bad, because then you have a large number of people that have higher and higher skill levels. And this is okay to some extent, but when technology progresses very fast, then you get quite a bit of issues, because it's harder and harder for students to be able to, schools to be able to respond. I also wanted to highlight, so the UN DP released this report last year, the Human Development Report. And the good news is that we as a world are making a lot of progress. Many people are escaping extreme poverty. But there is a new inequality, and the new inequality is beyond the basics, beyond the averages, and it's about people who do not actually have things that are considered luxuries. They were once considered luxuries, but are now essential. And I think COVID is really putting this into sharp relief, where if your family does not have technology devices or internet, there's just absolutely no way that you can have access to the basic literacy skills. And so the normal, of course, has shifted. And this goes to the heart of human development, that every human being in this world has the rights to have the opportunities to be what she wants to be, and to be able to do what she wants to do. And this is a very, very simple notion, but I think technology and education is at the heart of this. So this is the reason why we exist. And I think we have 10 years. The UN pushed the prosperity agenda to 2030. And I think there's room for us to bring groups together of AI experts and the broader, especially like low-income groups, underrepresented groups, to have a common forum, a common language around AI, where it's not just the media talking about how it's taking away jobs and how it's threatening us, but more that having an educated, larger population that understands the good that these technologies can bring. And only when you focus on one-on-one human connections, that you can have people be open to these ideas. And this sort of brings us to the importance of educating the low-income groups, really, that may not necessarily be thinking about AI technologies, and I call it AI at the grassroots level. And the good part about this is that, of course, it's going to result in greater diversity at all levels. So I wanted to look back a little bit about, there was the coding movement. We were part of the coding movement, where it was like, all children need to learn how to code. And there was a big push for increasing diversity in tech. And it's been 10 years now, and we've put millions and millions of dollars and a lot of effort into that. And I wanted to take a look at, well, what has the impact been of all of this effort? And it turns out that the number of women computer science undergraduates compared 2019 to 2010 has actually gone by 2%. And the number of African Americans has also gone down by 2% in computer science undergraduates. Hispanic population has increased, but their population overall has increased by, I think, 30%. So if you think about it, there's some research to show, like, what are the things that are not working. And one of the things that's not working is that if you focus on just the basics of coding, it doesn't motivate people because it doesn't talk about purpose. Well, why should I care about this? And when you talk to a middle schooler about coding, but then don't really talk about the longer term impacts and the reason for why these tools are powerful, then that short term interest may not last long. And then we're also finding that learning how to code is totally not the same as being able to apply it to any kind of real world problem. And then the hardest thing is that, well, guess what? It's easy to teach these skills, or not, I mean, it's easier, but very, very hard to have the social support at every level. And that's harder to scale, but if we don't focus on that, then we'll end up in the same problem that we'll have another 10 years of saying we should be teaching people how to use AI, but again, end up with like serious inequality and inclusion issues. So what we do is, my nonprofit runs a global competition. We empower families. So the target is mothers, and to work with their children as a family unit, find a problem that they care about, and over the course of 10 weeks, create an AI-based prototype. We use a platform called Machine Learning for Kids that's visual, it's block-based, and it gives you a sense of building a data set. But then the key is really that you have the agency to tackle a problem in your community, and your voice is important to us, to the world. And here are some sort of key highlights. We reached about 9,000 individuals last year, and basically engaged roughly 4,000 children and parents who created more than 200 prototypes. And we worked with researchers, and thank you, Ryan and Faye, for being part of our core group, and also sort of created a little sort of AI inventors ethics guide for participants. The cool thing is that these kinds of deep immersive experiences are very powerful in changing, of course, content knowledge for participants, especially the parents. But then, of course, the sense of self-efficacy that I can make a change stays with you all your life. And that is the key element here. So things to improve for us going forward. It's really much beyond the technical elements of coding. And for us, we want to make sure that we are teaching and providing better resources for people to understand what is a good problem, right? And is it meaningful? Is it going to have a lot of impact? And can my technical knowledge and tools address this? Then go through the whole element of how do you build a team? How do you work together? And now the whole world is struggling with that as we're trying to do that virtually. Then there's this typical entrepreneur's journey of like, after the initial high of being excited, you lose motivation, you hit many dead ends, and you're like, well, I don't know what to do anymore, and then you drop out. So this is something very, very important that we want children to be able to understand and develop the strategies to address it. And I think school currently doesn't have the capacity to do this, and I think it's important. And finally, it is about creating technology solutions for a complex, messy social world where you're honoring the values of the users. So it's value-sensitive design, but also understanding feedback loops and the effects that your solutions may have at different timescales. So that's sort of the core of what we do. And this year we are looking for partners.
We're running short of time.
Sure. Yeah, that's my last slide. So thank you.